Here, round 7 at Russia. I am PB Racing and I am joined by Zach Sweeney today. Hello, Zach.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm Zach. I'm new to PSGL, of course, so I have to thank Bryn for the opportunity to be here today, and hopefully they're going to put on a good show for me.
Yes, hopefully they will. So, of course, with this being Performance League, Zach, you obviously know the standard stuff that the Mercedes will be the quickest car on track and the Williams is the slowest. So this is slightly different to what you're used to.
Very different.
But as we look right now, we've got a very wet track as we've got Game Freaker leading us out the pit lane and going to be the first one to start a lap. Very treacherous.
Yeah. Very, very treacherous conditions indeed. Obviously, we're here at the Sochi Autodrome. It's a 5.848 kilometre circuit, around about 3.6 miles, 18 turns. First opened in 2014, obviously built around the old Olympic Park. But a rain-soaked Sochi, and it could definitely spice up the strategy for the race with a free choice of tyres, Bryn.
Yes, it'll make it very interesting because we don't know whether we're going to have a dry race or a wet race. But if it is dry, like you did say it could be, we could have people starting on the mediums inside the top 10, which is going to be very unusual compared to a dry qualifying, whereas everybody does tend to start on the softs.
Definitely, yeah. Obviously, tyre wear isn't that big of an issue here at Sochi. It's definitely very smooth and very nice on the tyres. You could say you could definitely take the softs very long, so definitely be interesting to see how much strategy plays a factor.
It will. As we now go on board with Game Freaker, who is starting the first lap of the qualifying session. No DRS, of course, just going to be raw engine power pushing him down the straight. As we have got 2 comments in the stream already. But, wheel spin coming out of turn 2 then. As Mr. B-Boy Worm has said, sad to be missing out tonight, all the best lads. And Dino said, it'll be a dry start to the race with a wet end. So very interesting whether drivers are going to use a wet setup or whether they're going to use a dry setup. What would you personally do, Zach?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got a wet quali, you've got a wet end to the race, so it is very confusing. Obviously, you want to get a strong start to the race, command the first sort of half of the race, and obviously have a good end, obviously. But with the consistency, maybe it is better to take the punch of it. It'll only be a couple of tenths at the start of the race, and it'll definitely give you that consistency towards the end, and give you a better position in quali.
Yes, it will. But, of course, you will have them drivers, and you don't know, there might be drivers out there that are running dry setups, but are just going to be changing the major things. Like, for example, the ride height, because that could majorly affect you, because aquaplaning, if that skid plate gets onto a puddle, you could end up messing up so badly. As we now see Game Freaker might get a little bit of dirty air off of that racing point, which is not going to be fun for him. As we see him now coming into 14 and 15. Very steady.
Has definitely looked up, pretty hooked up. He's obviously got 13 minutes left to improve on his time. He's probably just getting a bit of a sight lap in, seeing where the grip is. You know all too well about sight laps from your real life karting, Bryn. But he goes pole, obviously the only one to set a time, but 47.9. What sort of times do you reckon we'll be looking for from the fastest guys?
We might be in the 46s, I don't know, but as we notice, Greeny then locking up both fronts going into both 17 and 18, losing a lot of time and setting an 18.614, over 7 tenths behind the McLaren. That Ferrari is not looking fun to drive, as Cherry 2 Pie goes with a 50.7 in the Williams. So that's over, 2 seconds or so, isn't it?
Yeah, around about just over, what is that, nearly 3 seconds from Cherry, 3 seconds nearly off the pole time of the McLaren. Obviously in the Williams car, he's not, expected to be up there, but let's hope he can improve a little from his time. We've still got over halfway of the session left to go. Let's just see where time takes us and where the grip evolves to.
Yeah, as you now see the other Haas go past with a 50.250, and then AMS with who was it? Jacob Reaper with a 49.955, with Tom AJ currently on pole, taking it from Game Freaker. So very close between the top 2, but then after that the times just drop off compared to what else can other drivers do? As we see Skeven go up to a 40.294, as I'm now going to go on board with Nano Bacon in the racing point, heading through 15 and 16 now before heading towards 17. Looking very hooked up. Oh, little bit of wheel spin through there. Could have cost him a bit of time. Will he lock up his fronts? No, he seems to be using ABS, so that's saving him, hopefully, as he goes into this final corner. Now, what time will he set in that racing point? As he sets a 48.0, as Game Freaker does improve to go in front of Tom AJ. So very close between the top two, looking very fiery off the start.
Definitely, Game Freak is setting the pace early. He's, putting them some really good benchmark times. Currently sits, 3/10 pole. Just obviously, Greeny tops him to pole with a 47.418. Very, very close in at the front. So Greeny just finding his legs and getting more confident in the conditions. That's the main thing, is just confidence. When can you put the foot down? When can you slam the brakes on? And it looks like Game Freak and Greeny are finding the most of the conditions today.
Also, look at the Haas driver of PR1 Will going up to third with a 47.8. This is going to make it very close between the field, because the fact of in the dry the cars are very split, but in the wet it's mainly down to driver skill, not actually the performance of the car. As we noticed that the Ferrari might be slightly better on traction because of its lower power rates, we might find that the Ferrari drivers will be able to get the traction a lot earlier, say, than the Mercedes and Honda powered cars.
Definitely, I do agree there. Obviously, Greeny in the Ferrari's got very good pace off the back, and as you say, with the lower power, the Ferrari could get on the power that a little bit earlier. But it's a rain-soaked quality, similar to how we saw in Styria in 2020, and it definitely does bring out the best in the drivers. You can definitely see the gaps in performance come down, and I won't be too surprised if we see a couple of positions, maybe a couple of Williams up there.
Could be very interesting, because as we come off the back of Italy, which is a very low downforce straight line speed track, to a track like this where you need that top end, but you also need to have a setup that's good through the corners, because of course there's no real heavy traction zones apart from the last sector. So of course it's going to be very tricky, as we now go on board with the Mercedes, who is struggling to get it turned in round the fast left-hander. Not looking good from the Mercedes driver so far. Maybe we'll see Mercedes not doing that well this weekend.
Well, yeah, that could definitely be a factor. Obviously, you've got the quickest car on the grid, but if the drivers aren't up to the conditions, that could see them struggle. And we've got a Haas in P3, we've got McLaren P2, and we've got Ferrari P1. This is not what you'd normally see.
And now a Haas into P2, only 2/10 off the Ferrari. As we can see, the conditions are improving quite a lot. Track Evolution is being very kind to the drivers today.
Yeah, and definitely their confidence grows with the track. Obviously, with the cars, they're displacing around 60 litres of water a second with the Pirelli wet tyres. They're definitely moving the water out of the way and getting it off the racing line, which just improves the grip tremendously. And still with 9 minutes left to go, I won't be surprised if we're into the mid-46s by the end of it.
Could be very interesting. Who do you think will be the first driver to actually break that 46 barrier?
Oh, it could be anyone. It could be any one of the top three, really. Game Freaker Will Greeny is only 5 thousandths off that 46 mark. So he definitely would be probably in the prime position to do so. We'll check on board with him now, see what sort of times he's doing. He's coming down this back, very long straight through turn 12. Is he backed off his lap? Is he going for it? Well, no, he's in on validated lap time. What about Will? Let's see if he can improve on his time. He's coming through turn 10 into 11 and rounding off sector 2. Let's have a look what he can do. He's in the Haas, he's looking quick, only 2/10 off provisional pole. Onto this back straight then, let's see what he can do. He's running a little bit low on fuel, he's got full ERS. Is he on a lap? It'd be interesting to see, but
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
He's Game Freaker, there we go, he's into the 46s.
So McLaren leading the way to take the 46s. But now Greeny's about to start another lap. Will he be able to beat Game Freaker and get in another 46.8, or will he even do a 46.7 or 0.6? It'll be very interesting to see, as I'm going to go on board with Greeny for the whole lap to watch and see what he does.
So
going towards turn 2. Going into turn 2.
Oh yeah, turn 2, obviously.
Clipping the apexes perfectly, trying to get the traction down as much as possible, showing that he has low fuel in that car. So this probably is a last run, holding it very tight to the curb, braking late, locking up slightly, only ever slightly, trying to avoid the white line, because that could be an invalidation from him, and if he didn't, he's currently a 10th down in sector 1, so not looking that good for him. Sorry about that, as we now turn to the very fast corner in the dry that's going to be quite slow in the wet, sadly. Coming around here, locking up almost every corner. It's not looking good for the Ferrari driver. Can he improve though? Locking up yet again. This just does not look good for him. Not at all. Heading down the back straight now. Low fuel. Sorry Zach, I'll let you take over the rest of the lap.
Sorry about that, yeah, just keep interrupting you there, but he's gained it back in the middle sector. He's purple, he's a 10.5 up on his time. Is this good enough for a provisional pole? He had a bit of a slow sector 1, he's got sector 2 and 3 to make up for it. He's made up for it in the middle sector. Let's see what he can do. He's got Jacob right in front of him getting in the way. Let's see if the Racing Point can move.
No.
That's definitely not what he wants. The Racing Point did not get out of the way. That has ruined Greeny's lap, and he's going to need to go again. He's going to come in, he's going to put some more fuel in the car and hopefully go again, but he was on course for pole position.
Well, in my opinion, Jacob was fully at fault there. I don't know what he was doing. That was very disgraceful from him. He should have got out of the way. But anyway, as he now starts his lap, after blocking Greeny on his timed lap, Jay Bray is coming through the final sector right now, but he is not on a lap, sadly. As we try and find somebody who... Skeven is on a lap right now. Is Pitmat? No, he was coming into pit lane. So we will go back on board with Skeven driving the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo is a naturally understeery car, but this might help in the wet conditions, as you will find that the drivers will be using more lock and forcing understeer for the car to actually grip up.
Through the penultimate corner then is Stephen. Is he up on his time in the Alfa Romeo? Looks to be a pretty hit up lap. He improves, go P5, so it was not a bad lap from him at all. Is that a purple sector 3 as well from the Alfa Romeo? Very good showing from him then, and as you say, definitely requires a lot of different driving styles, but he's making the most out of it.
Very much so. Is Greeny is not happy with Jacob in the PSGL PS4 chat. He is not happy, but Jacob, that was not good from him. As we now have a look to see, I think it's Brandon we're going to have to stick on board with, as we now come through 17, heading towards 18. As Cedric might actually get... Oh, that was close from the Hassan Renault driver there. As does he improve? Yes, he does. He improves to P13 with the 48.899. Very close, as I'm now going to go on board with... Oh, it looks like nobody is on a lap currently. Oh, as we do have a driver on a lap right now, Duo Finn in the Mercedes, trying to fight that Mercedes round the long, fast corner of turn 4. Heading into 5 now. Oh, that will be an... Oh no, he does not get invalidation. That is a very rare thing. If you normally touch that curb, you're straight invalid. Very slow through these corners. Slow in, fast out is the way to go for the wet conditions. But he's trying to go fast in, slow out right now. As he... Oh, that was a hard spin from the Mercedes driver right there.
Very sideways from Juho, and really struggling to find the conditions. The Mercedes, pretty dominant in the dry, but he's finding it really tricky in the wet, using the power to get it turned. Really interesting tactics. He just can't seem to get on terms with the Mercedes in this session. Juho in the dry though, I've raced with him before. He's really good with tyres and fuel, and let's see how he can take the tyres if he does struggle in qualifying.
Yes, it'll be very interesting. I've got a feeling most drivers on the grid will... Oh, as he gets out the... What is he? I think he is getting out of the way of the Renault driver who is not on a lap. And Cedric's also getting out the way for Greeny, who is on the intermediate tyres. So very interesting from the Ferrari, McLaren. Most people now are going on intermediate tyres. So obviously they feel the track conditions are good enough now to use them. So can we see if Greeny will improve as we now head towards turn 1. Very light rain now, but staying off the drier line, trying to keep the track as short as possible. Heading towards turn 2 now, trying to pull the car right over, braking, locking up both front wheels, then trying to get the traction as soon as possible, lighting it up to 7th gear now. Ooh, he's trying to hold it almost flat there, about 80% throttle, then straight back up to full, locking up slightly, 4th gear on the exit here, going straight up to 5th, 6th, heading now towards turn 6. He is currently 5 tenths quicker, so the intermediate tyres are obviously working for the Ferrari driver, looking very good. Slowing the car right down, clipping the curb perfectly. As we now head... Oh, as CPI, Black Phoenix and Cedric have retired from the session as they must feel that they cannot improve now, plus they cannot get another lap time in. As we now see PR1 Will with a 44.3 in the Haas. What a lap from the Haas driver there. Very unexpected. So go back on board with Greeny. Coming under the bridge now. Trying to limit the wheel spin because this corner is very awkward for getting the traction down. Because it's not a straight line out of it. You are still turning. Now coming through 15 and 16. Perfect line from the Ferrari driver. Heading down to 17 and 18, the final corners of the track. Can he improve and beat PR1 Will? This will certainly be interesting. Going straight up to 4th gear to get the traction. And he does a 43.9. Very
quick time.
It was. So now go on board with the McLaren. Can the McLaren beat it? No. 400ths. That is close.
It's not something you typically see in these wet conditions. These intermediates, then obviously they're more sort of, you know, closer to the slicks, still got the groove tyres, and with the less standing water on the track, they're definitely quicker. And nearly 3 seconds up, Greeny then, still got another lap to go. Let's see if he can defend his pole time. The McLaren, Ferrari and Haas, though, very close, all within 4 tenths of a second, which is not something you really typically see in these wet conditions.
Yes, and the Williams of Pitmat just went up into P4 with a 44.9. So that's very interesting. A Ferrari, McLaren, Haas and Williams in the top 4. So that is something that you don't see every day, as Tom AJ finishes off his qualifying with a 44.290, as Big C says hoi in the chat, hello, or hoi, however you want to speak, as both Renaults have now finished their qualifying, neither of them improving, so neither Renault will be inside top 10, not looking good to them.
Just to jump in, Bryn, I'm on board with Greeny at the moment. He's currently 6.5 tenths up on his time into the final sector. Through into 15 and 16, this tight little quick 90-degree chicane, something you see a lot of in Sector 3, a lot of 90-degree corners. Into the penultimate corner then, he's running low on that energy recovery system. Into the penultimate corner he goes then, turn 17, into 18. A very tricky corner to get the power down in the dry, let alone the wet, across the line. It's a 43.226, a very quick time. PR1 Will can't improve. Let's see if Game Freaker across the line can improve. As a 43.8. So Greeny, very strong showing in that Ferrari. 6 tenths clear of second place. Let's see if anyone else can top
Brain.
him.
No, 45.7 on the intermediates.
Let's see if Pitmat through the final corner. Is he up on his time in the Williams? Very strong showing from the Williams driver across the line. It's only a 44.5. It is a very strong time for the Williams. Still up on his time, but not good enough to pip Tom. But Ferrari's looking very good in the wet then.
Very much as now have a racing point of Drake Reaper going P6 with a 45.0. No, as Ugi then takes it away from him, and that is qualifying over.
Very exciting qualifying session then. It's just everyone had to adapt to the conditions and slowly build up the confidence. So a very strong showing from Greeny and Pole then. Game Freaker rounds off the front row. Ferrari and McLaren front row, something we haven't seen for about 30 years, Bryn. Will rounds off the top 3. And AMS in the AlphaTauri, surprising P4. The other Ferrari in P5. Pitmap P6. Ugal P7. Jacob Reaper P8. Dino P9. And CC Breen rounding up the top 10. Skeven in P11. Black Phoenix P12. Nano Bacon P13. Dre Bay in P14. Brandon in P15. Cedric P16. Cherry 2 Pie in P17. And Juho Finn rounding off the grid without a time in P18.
Just got to interrupt with some bad news there, Zach, as Juho Finn's game has crashed on him. Will he get back in the session in time? Of course, joining back in the formation lap will cause a glitch, so he will have to join back once the race has started. But we don't know how many positions he could lose from that. But mind you, he is starting from last, so probably not a lot.
No, he's probably not really going to lose any positions.
No. As yes, as Dino was right, it is a dry start to the race, but of course it is very overcast, so maybe that rain might come sooner than we expected. Because
Well, we
that is only a weather report in qualifying. It is actually accurate when you get into the race, so
Well, yeah, definitely very cloudy skies. It could come at any moment. We've seen, with the F1 game, Juho Finn has joined back. Hopefully, it is just in time. But yeah, we see often with the F1 games, the weather can change at any moment, and it can come very quickly. Very overcast skies then, and it could be a very interesting race. 27 laps around this Sochi Autodrome then.
yes, as I just noticed, with this camera angle right here, the Mercedes tyres just changed from the softs being set on the side to the mediums, so obviously Mercedes driver might be starting on the soft compound. To be interesting.
Definitely very interesting. We've got a Ferrari then leading the way off the formation lap. Just really important to get these tyres up to temperature then. We'll see what tyres everyone's on. So the pole man, most of them opting for the mediums, taking it long, and potentially going all the way to when the rain starts.
But Dino, starting on the hards, and Nano Bacon are obviously going to go even further. They want to go right up to the rain, which we don't know what time it could go in the race, but the hards could be the best option, although they do take a long time to heat up around Russia. The medium and soft runners are probably at the best bet for this race, because mediums will most likely be able to go up to the rain, and the softs will most likely die off quite early, so it will be very interesting to see when the rain comes.
Definitely. Well, I mean, let's hope Ferrari, for once in their damn lives, have made a good strategy call for the pole sitter and the P5 man. Mediums, they do last a while here at Sochi, and they take a lot less, especially in these overcast conditions. The drivers will find it very hard to warm up these tyres, but hopefully it works out for him. And yeah, Game Freaker though, interestingly, have an aggressive start to the race, and he's probably hoping for a safety car or something to keep him in the mix until the rain.
Yes, as very interestingly as well, just for me, the track got very much darker than it was before, so obviously maybe the rain is going to come sooner than expected, because the lighting, like I said, has got very dark very soon.
Yeah,
As now we see Greeny is actually waiting up for the McLaren after speeding off into the distance, and the whole grid is separated. As look at Will, he's only just coming through 15 and 16 now, whereas the leaders are quite far ahead.
Well, let's hope they played this right. Pitmap and Oogie both disqualified from the session towards the end. They're going to be starting on pretty cold tyres. Greeny shot off to try and get the temperature into the tyres early, and everyone else backing them up. PR1 Will wants obviously the top two to start on the colder tyres before we go to 5 red lights here at Sochi, Bryn.
Yes, very much so. As we are waiting for Duo Finn's AI to get to turn 17, as Cherry 2 Pi has backed off massively in that Williams, trying to cause the front runner's tyres to be as cold as possible and give him the biggest advantage. As we now see Duo Finn's AI does line up around the final corner to line up on his grid spot, sorry about that. As can we get a good view now? No, we don't want to see the rear. Can we have a good view please, game? There we go. Heading up to 5 lights now. It's lights out and away we go. A very good start from the Ferrari driver. The McLaren on the soft tyres has taken the lead very early on. The Ferrari is right over the back of the Haas as we're going 3 wide going into turn 1. Very interestingly. And there's a crash at the back. Brandon is out. What has happened?
Very early in the race. And it just looked as though Brandon just got caught up, had a bit of contact, and just bounced straight into the wall through turn 1. But yeah, 4 abreast on the run into turn 1 and 2. But we've got a VSC very early, so the cars do have to abide to a 40% race speed delta, just slow down, and while the marshals can retrieve the debris. But yeah,
also,
didn't even get 2 corners in.
Sorry to interrupt, but the Mercedes has got damage, so maybe Brandon had a collision with the Mercedes of Duo Finn. So of course, Duo Finn's now going to have to pit in to get that damage fixed, as we now back into green flag racing, and Game Freaker has already pulled out of the DRS of Greeny. So Greeny is going to be at a disadvantage now down the straight, because already that Ferrari is very weak. All he's doing is being at a further disadvantage to the McLaren, as it's very close towards P8 and P7 right now. as Jacob Reaper on the softs is being attacked by the McLaren. Will the McLaren be able to send it up the inside of the racing point? Yes, he will. He sends it up the inside, bumping wheels, but getting past Jacob. But is Jacob still there? Yes, he is. Very much so. Hanging it round the outside, very close between the two there. But can the McLaren come out on top? No, he cannot, because the racing point gets the cutback. What a cutback on that McLaren. Oh, contact between the two there. Has McLaren got damage? No, he has not. Nor has the racing point. Very wide from them. As now we see 3 drivers got penalties already, as Cherry is also pitted in as well. Off of the mediums onto another set size, and Jotham with that damage. As I'm now going to go on board with Game Freaker, who is, I suppose, sorry, we have got a little timing glitch there, because Game Freaker is currently leading the race, yet he is in P9. Come on, Bugmasters, please sort out your game. This is just not fun at all for us.
Yeah, no, but there's now seems to a great bit of racing then between the McLaren and the Racing Point. It looks like the Racing Point's just about managed to hold on. They've lost 3 seconds to Williams in front of Pitmap, who's trying to close down the Ferrari. The Racing Point, though, after that, he's on the soft tyres and he's looking for us to try and chase down this Williams for P6 then. Through onto this back DRS straight. They haven't got DRS enabled just yet. It's onto lap 3 we get DRS, but he's in the ERS. He's in the slipstream. He's looking to get past the Williams. He goes to the inside early. To the outside goes the Racing Point. It'll turn to the inside for turn 14 up the inside, second gear, just about gets it stopped, and he manages to find his way up into P6 and on the charge for the P5 man of Tom.
Yes, very much so. As I was just on board with the back of the pack there, as it's very close between 14th, and there's a yellow flag, as Jacob Reaper is round by the looks of it.
At the race.
He is in the wall. He's out, as we get another virtual safety car, the second one of this Grand Prix. Will we see an actual safety car up here? Who knows?
Well, Jacob Reaper tried to get it turned round, did a bit of a 360, lit up the rears, found himself facing the wrong way, clipped the tire at the wrong angle and just came off, and that's him out of the race. Him out of the race very early, only on lap 3, and another VSC already.
Yes, very interesting. After being only racing for 2 full laps, 2 virtual safety cars and 2 retirees already. This is not looking very good for certain drivers, as surely we have to get back under green flag racing soon, as we do, and Dre Bay gets a drive-through penalty. If I just quickly change over to penalties, we have 2 drivers here, Cedric and Dre Bay, with drive-through penalties for speeding under the virtual safety car. Oh dear.
Well, definitely not good. They are told to stay within that delta. Very easy to do. You see the ending message, you want to get on the power as soon as you can. Just dips into that red a little bit, you're punished very harshly. But if we can, we've got the 2 Alfa Romeos looking to have a bit of a tussle for the final points position. We've got Tom trying to chase down P4. He's on the back of PR1 Will in the Alpha Tauri, getting a bit sideways and lost a bit of ground, could leave him vulnerable from Tom. So it looks like everyone is finding these colder conditions pretty tricky in these early stages to get the tyres warmed up and a bit of traction down, Bryn.
Yes, it's certainly causing a lot of havoc for the drivers, as we see the 2 hard runners are currently in 8th and 9th, which is good from them, considering that Nano Bacon started in P13. He's already up to P8 on them hards, and Dino has not lost a position, so obviously the hard compound was a good choice by them 2, as they have not lost any time at all.
No,
as we now see Oogie and Pitmat battling, as Oogie just goes straight past Pitmat with the DRS, that Renault power coming out on top. As I'm now going to go on board with Skeven, who is currently chasing down his teammate of CC Brain in the Alfa Romeo. Both of them got high percentages of ERS, so it's going to be very interesting between the 2, as of course their ERS being high, they can't just have a weakness, but the weaknesses aren't going to be there, because of course when you get below 10% ERS you have a reduced power output from the energy recovery system. So now, as you see, getting right over the back, 3 tenths between them 2. He will get DRS down this back straight now. 80% ERS with Skeven. getting the best tracks he can. But CC Brain did get a slight better exit as he chose not to use his overtake button. As I am now going to go on board with CPI Black Phoenix, who is chasing over the back of Cedric, who has yet to get rid of his penalty, but he sticks behind in that Red Bull.
Yep, so far looks like, we're waiting for the drive-throughs to come in. Further up, AMS, Tom and Will, all within DRS range for the final podium place. Game Freaker, though, with a great start. He's setting PBs left, right and centre, but on to the start-finish straight then, and they're going to have DRS as soon as they come through turn 1. Is AMS close enough to launch an attack for the podium places? He's in DRS, he's got the energy recovery system open. Is he close enough and to put the Haas under pressure into turn 2? Doesn't look quite late enough. He's really pushing him through turn 2 and 3. Let's see how much dirty air affects him through turn 4 and into the rest of sector 1. He's really close and wanting to launch an attack for the final podium places. All over the gearbox then of that Haas. Into turn 5 then, chucking it down 4th gear to get the power down a little bit earlier. Looks like he's not going to be close enough and he's going to have to wait for the next opportunity, which is the next DRS straight.
Yes, it is, as I'm now just looking through the field, and it's very close between the Red Bull at the back. Looking at a move on Cedric then, only a tenth between them as they were going into that corner. As now they're going to head towards the fast right-hander, which can cause a lot of trouble for the drivers, because I've seen many crashes in the past, and in real life there is a sausage curb on the exit, and Lewis Hamilton did get caught out by it.
Yeah, definitely skating over it, but further up, if you can go on board for the podium place. AMS to the inside then, through the chicane, up the inside he goes then. Seems like a pretty easy move to make, bit of a lock-up. Can PL1 Will get the cutback? He's trying to set up the double cutback through the chicane then and into turn 15 and 16. Can he get back up the inside? No, looks like the AlphaTauri has claimed that final podium place then, and we're only on lap 5, still waiting for the rain, but a good start then from the AlphaTauri as he finds himself up into P3.
As No Bacon gets a 3-second time penalty, which will be put onto the end of his race, maybe costing him position, who knows? Or even 2.
Could definitely spice up. We'll have to see how the rest gets on, but PR1 Will looking for the counter-attack then. He's in DRS, he's a little bit low on fuel, he's opening up the ARS to the inside, goes AMS to defend, around the outside, it's a tricky move to make. Will sends it around the outside, over the sausage curb. Cedric has been disqualified from the session, obviously an unserved drive-through, side by side through turn 4, then Will claims back that podium place to the outside. Can the AMS get up the inside into turn 5? No, not quite, setting up a cutback. PR1 Will parking it very nicely on the inside then. Can AMS do anything about it through sector 1? A nice bit of tussling then, and this is letting Tom get right on the back. He's going to be looking to try and make the best of any opportunity, as well as Ugal, who's looking to get involved as well. But a nice little tussle then for the final podium place, Bryn.
Yes, it very much is. And that's something you don't really see in real life, is an AlphaTauri and Haas battling for a podium position, which is slightly awkward. But as we see, like say, Cedric has been disqualified for the session for not serving his drive-through. What was stopping him from serving it, I wonder?
Well, maybe just decided to give up on the race. Potentially Tom looking to get involved up the inside of AMS, not quite close enough. It looks like we've got a 3-car, maybe even 4-car train now, as the McLarens join the back of them for the podium place. So from P3 down to P6, it's looking like a very spicy little bit of battling, all on equal tyres and all in pretty even cars, it must be said, apart from the Haas. So this could definitely be a pretty spicy race on our hands, Bryn, as we round the penultimate corner into the final corner. All of these guys except will have DRS, all looking pretty good on ERS except for the AlphaTauri, who's expended it all to try get past. He's under pressure from the Ferrari, who's in DRS range. He could get completely swamped by Ugal as well, who's eager to get past. Down to T1, into turn 2 then. Is he close enough? The AlphaTauri looking to launch an attack. No, it looks like everyone's just going to have to hold station. AMS is saving grace, Bryn, is the fact he's got the DRS of PL1 Will in front, and he's looking to get up the inside. Not quite close enough, but AMS is saving grace, is that he's got the DRS to defend with.
Yes, very much so. With all drivers also starting on the medium tyres, nobody here is on the soft, so nobody will have an advantage. And the only advantage that we see here is the Honda and Renault power will be stronger than the Ferrari powered cars, as they are also naturally more drag. They have more drag than the other 2 cars. As I'm now going to see who has commented on the stream, as that was Drycy. Oh, Cedric completely forgot his drive-through penalty. Oh dear. As we now go on board with Tom, he's looking for the move on AMS. He has a lot more ERS, sends it to the outside. What will Oh, it's very close between the three. Oh, the AlphaTauri almost hitting the back of the Haas. That is very close between them. Will Tom look at the move going into turn 15? No, he will not, as there's a battle here at the back. The two Alfa Romeo drivers side by side. And where has this Red Bull come from? He has come from nowhere. He's got the ultimate cutback on Skeven and has looked at getting CC brain then, but does not have enough grip, as Nano Bacon has obviously spun out and had a slight issue there, as we now see one of the Alfa Romeos, that is Skevan, coming to pit lane, and he has now sped into pit lane and lost his end plate, and he has retired from the Grand Prix.
Let's hope it's not going to be a safety car. He's retired in the pit lane, so hopefully not. But very juicy battle up in front then, and you commentate that very well. AMS eager to get past Will, but also eager to defend from Tom. So AMS potentially in the worst position of the three. He's looking forwards, but he's also got to look in his mirrors. So definitely a very tricky position to be in. He's also got to try and save up a little bit more of that energy recovery system to give that extra around 140 brake horsepower down the straight. He hasn't got much of it. He's still in the DRS and close to the House of Will up in front through Sector 1 into Sector 2, then a lot of quick corners, and he's going to be looking to try and get past at the next opportunity possible. Maybe save a bit of ERS and work together, maybe show a bit of racecraft, you know, save each other's tyres, save their ERS ready for when the rain comes. We're only a third of the way through the race grid.
Yes, we are, and the rain still has not come, so maybe it will come at the end. But just to commentate, it looks like there's going to be no moves made so far. No, there is not. But I'm also going to go back with the Red Bull, who's looking for the move on the Alfa Romeo. Will he send it going into the corner? No, he will not. He is not going to make the move stick, but can he go the inside going into 15? Much better traction from the Red Bull driver with that Honda power, but he cannot go up the inside going into 15, not having the pace to do it. As we now go back on board with the battle for P3 from 3rd to 6th, it's going to be very interesting. So I'm now going to go on board with Oogie. I know I'm going to go on board with Tom, because Tom is the closest to the two 3rd and 4th runners. As AMS is now looking for the move, he has made the move on the Haas driver. The Haas driver now slots him behind and is going to follow in the DRS of AMS, as he has got more. Tom has got the most ERS out of the bunch here, but AMS is going to be a huge advantage with not having DRS and having very low ERS. He is going to struggle down the next straight. We could see Will or even Tom take the position off of them, as Oogie is just sat back watching what is going on right now. But if we just quickly look at the field spread, Game Freaker has gone away with Greeny, a 3-second gap between the two, but then between Greeny and AMS there is a nearly 6-second gap, so them two drivers leading and controlling the race, as we now go on board with Will, who is looking to hunt down AMS. He is not using the extra 160 brake horsepower available from the energy recovery system, which can be used for 33 seconds of the lap, as Tom has made the move on the Haas driver. Can he make it stick as the Haas goes wide? And yes, he makes the move stick. That was very late from Tom AJ, but what a move by him. Obviously the Haas is starting to struggle on them tyres, with the high degradation of the Ferrari powered cars could be starting to get to him.
Yeah, definitely a great move from Tom M. Up the inside, managed to get it stop, a bit of a lock-up. Will tried to keep it on the outside, but just found himself running out of track and got a bit of understeer. So Tom finds himself up into P4. AMS, though, he's going to be looking pretty nice at this, as he's managed to get out of that 1 second DRS range. Tom just about managed to stay with it, though, into the detection point. But hopefully for AMS's sake, these guys start battling a little bit more, as Will picks himself up his first 3-second time penalty through turn 3. It's a very, very easy thing to do, just getting a bit caught up over that curb. But Will completely swamped then, bit caught off guard from AMS, and Tom with the slipstream and the equal Ferrari powered car just managed to soar up the inside, brake late, and get the move done. And Oogle is just looking to try and save up a little bit of ERS, maybe launch an attack towards the end of the stint. Lap 10 of 27, and we're just waiting to see when the first round of pit stops can potentially come in. Greeny is looking very good as Game Freakers. Softs could start now to degrade a little bit, and the mediums, we're hitting that little tipping point where the mediums take over the softs on terms of pace.
Yes, very much so. Game Freaker and Greeny both very much equal with their ERS charge, but Greeny has actually closed in a second to Game Freaker, so you are right, we must be in that crossover period where as Will and Oogie are battling. Is Oogie trying to make the move stick? Yes, he is. That Renault-powered McLaren, though, cannot get past the Ferrari-powered Haas, as Nano Bacon has got past the Mercedes, who is on the hards as well, as he does back out of it, as the actual PSGL account has commentated. Good job, guys.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. But yeah, Oogie eager to get past Will. He had a little look while you were talking about Greeny. I was on board with it. Oogie with a great move. Then he's putting the pressure on Will, who seems to be struggling now. To the outside goes Oogie and soars around the outside of the DRS and ERS to claim P5. And Will just completely swamped now. He's lost his composure now. He's lost a couple of places. And Tom and AMS seem to have just soared into the distance then. This 4-car train, 4P3, is now dissolved into a 2-car train. And Greeny closed up an extra 6/10 on Game Freaker then. So definitely into that crossover point now, Bryn.
Yes, and as currently I'm now on board with the Mercedes and the Racing Point. Of course, the Racing Point being the W10 and the Mercedes being the W11. We've got a close battle between last year's and current Mercedes, which is very interesting, as Nano Bacon has actually, on the previous lap, got past the Mercedes. So, of course, the W11 looks to be struggling more than its basically father, as you could class it. Going through now, heading towards the back straight. Quite a gap between between them, and the closest battle seems to be Black Phoenix on the back of the hard compound runner. He's not using his overtake button because Dino does not have DRS, and he is basically letting the Red Bull past as he knows he is quicker.
Good racecraft shown by Dino there. He knows that it's just a losing battle. He's only going to be damaging his own race from doing it. Very wise there. He's going to try and stick in the DRS of Black Phoenix and hopefully Black Phoenix can do the work for him then. Black Phoenix on the back of Nano Bacon, who's on the back of Pitmap. And Dino's thinking here could potentially be just to follow Black Phoenix through, let him do the work for him. We're on to lap 12, so probably close to the first wave of pit stops if the rain doesn't come soon.
Yes, as now we notice Greeny is in the DRS of Game Freaker, so we could be seeing a battle for the lead, as I'm going to go on board with Tom, who is also very close to AMS, as now the gap has broadened as AMS got a much better run through there, but I am going to mainly focus right now on Greeny, who is majorly catching up to Game Freaker, who is on nearly 10% less ERS than Greeny. Greeny is definitely eating up that soft runner McLaren there. Maybe it's time for the McLaren to actually pit in. Though he might want to go to the rain, it's not the best option for him.
Well, the last thing he wants to do is pick up a puncture, Bryn. Greeny all over the back of him, though. He's got a lot more ERS saved up. He's got this long back straight to try and do it. In the DRS, he's opened the flap. He's definitely quicker at this stage in the race. And Game Freaker's tyres screaming for help then. Can we see a change of the race lead? Greeny, is he close enough to dart to the inside? Not quite. He's going to have to sit back and wait for the long turn 1 to turn 2 straight.
Yes, we might likely see Game Freaker may pit in this lap, knowing that the gap has closed quite significantly, and take this opportunity to get onto the medium compound. As he does not, as he stays out for another lap. To be fair, it looks like Greeny may get him down this straight. He's got a lot more ERS than Game Freaker. But can the Ferrari power keep up though? That is the main problem with it. DRS an extra 20 kilometers an hour down the straight now, hitting up to nearly 325 k's going into turn 2, and he has made the move stick, but he's ran slightly deep there. The McLaren now coming back using his overtake button, only 5% left. Of course, only having less than 10% ERS, that is going to be limiting his power slightly. As we notice, a battle between Pitmat and Nano Bacon, as Nano Bacon goes past the Williams in that racing point. We'll now see probably Black Phoenix try catching up to the Williams, but the Williams is staying on the back of him. Very close between them right now. The action is starting to pile on, especially between Game Freaker and Greeny, as Greeny has now left him. He is almost out of his DRS, as Game Freaker, you can see, is struggling on them softs to get it turned in. Very understeery there from the car. As now going ball with Tom, sorry. I'll let you take over.
Well, Tom on the back of AMS then. These guys have been tussling for a little bit, trying to get the gap down. He's driven up to him, but he hasn't quite got the ERS to get past him. Looks like it's more of a battle of attrition, trying to get the ERS back saved up so they can launch an attack. Greeny, though, the pole sitter, back in front after playing the patient game, waiting for Game Freaker's tyres to come off. But Tom looking eager to get on to the podium. the AlphaTauri trying to save up his ERS through this tight final sector and keep the Ferrari at bay. We've also got the McLaren all over the back of him then, probably in the best position to take both of them. That chassis and aero and engine of the McLaren, it looks a lot better than the Ferrari and Honda powered cars of AMS and Tom. But on to the pit straight then, 5/10 the gap apiece. Ugi looking a bit struggly coming out of the final corner. Overtake and DRS open for Tom in the Ferrari. Let's see if he can take the final podium place into turn. And is he close enough? He's got the closing speed up the inside. Is it late enough? No, he can't quite get late enough on the brakes. Going to try and bake AMS into a mistake, but AMS holding his nerve very nice to hold on to that final podium place, Bryn.
I am very sorry to interrupt you right now, but just also let you know, the rain has started. It is gushing over the halo of that Ferrari, and you can see it falling now. The mediums do tend to be the worst in these conditions, so we may see Game Freaker claw a little back on Greeny, as Greeny will lose more grip than he will, and this has worked out perfectly for Game Freaker. Well, not perfectly, yeah, but almost.
Well, I mean, he's stretched those soft tyres very thin. They're definitely, I mean, if Lewis Hamilton was in that car right now, he'd definitely be saying his tyres are gone. Lap 14 of 27, literally, it's stopped at the halfway point, and this could definitely play into Game Freaker's hands if he's got the pace in the wet. But these are Greeny's conditions. He was 6 tenths clear in quali.
As a McLaren
looking to get past Tom up the inside, it'll be the outside for the chicane. Is he got the overspeed around the outside? A great move, and he's made the most of Tom, and he's finally launched an attack on the top three. Ugi then with some great pace as he's looking to get past the AlphaTauri. DRS still enabled though. The rain isn't just heavy, but this is definitely going to be a tricky time for the drivers because it's mixed conditions. You don't really know where the grip is, and you're just trying to, you know, you're looking every corner to try and find the grip, Bryn.
Yes, you are. Of course, this is going to really now start to challenge the good drivers. Right, it's going to start trying to challenge the drivers, and it's going to show the good and the bad of who's who, basically. As we now see Ugi, yeah, the good and the great, to be honest, as Ugi is now using DRS, but he's not using his overtake button, as Tom has backed off quite far in that Ferrari. Obviously, the Ferrari powered cars, as I did say earlier, do tend to suffer with their tyre wear compared to, say, a McLaren or the AlphaTauri, because AlphaTauri is showing very strong right now. Because, of course, in this game, the fastest cars is, of course, the Mercedes, then it's the Red Bull, then Racing Point, then it's the Ferrari. The McLaren is apparently slower than the Ferrari. The Renault is then the 6th fastest car in the grid, but the 6th fastest is that AlphaTauri. That AlphaTauri is, according to the game, 2 stages slower than the McLaren, so we may see Ugi get right up to the back of him and start pushing him.
Well, he's definitely got a lot of pace now. He's showing it. He had a good pace in quali. He's in the McLaren. It is a pretty quick car. Surprising to hear those statistics about the performance. Didn't know that, but it is midfield. It's probably very close. Is he close enough on this occasion to claim the podium place? Not quite. He's got a little bit more energy recovery system saved up, but he doesn't really want to use it in the traction zones. It just spins the rear wheels up and will definitely make him spin out. Let's be interesting to see when the first round of pit stops come in then. It'll probably be in a couple of laps time, maybe when DRS is disabled. You can see how much they're struggling to get the power down though. Through and spin up the corner. He's still got the ERS and DRS down this back pit straight into the final corner. Then AMS running a little bit wide, bit squirmy on power. Ugi looking eager to get past. He's going to have DRS in about 200 meters time. ERS wide open. He's got the DRS flap wide open as well. An extra 20 kph of closing speed to the outside. AMS to the inside. He's trying to defend his position. It's pretty much pointless. Ugi around the outside swoops round and claims the final podium place, and it's a double McLaren podium. Further back though, Brain and Will, as Will is into the pit lane for the first to react and plopping the intermediate tyres on. Interesting strategy from the Haas then, but they seem to call their wet weather strategy pretty well, similar to Hungary in 2020, Bryn.
Yes. As I was saying, there's a yellow flag. What is going on? Oh no, that was just a standard game glitch. As if this was Interlagos, as I have knowledge from Rain and from there, Interlagos is a very non-grippy track compared to this track. Russia is very grippy, if you know what I mean. So the track will be able to... The drivers will be able to stay on the softs. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused here, but the softs will be able to last a lot longer, same with the mediums and the hards, because the track grip is there. Unlike the intermediates, will take a lot longer, and the tyre wear will be a lot higher for them.
Definitely.
So we may see the mediums and soft runners all stay out a lot longer.
Well, definitely could. Yellow flash for sector 2. It looks like Black Phoenix has spun round, coming out and onto the back. DRS straight. That's going to hold his advance. He was looking very quick. DRS is now disabled. This is now where we're going to see the first round of pit stops, and Greeny luckily didn't get caught out by that. Your race leader into the pits, followed by Game Freak. I'm sure we're going to see a massive pile up, but the McLarens are going to have to double stack. So Oogie in the worst position of this podium fight, but luckily Greeny didn't pass the pit lane before DRS was disabled. Everyone in for intermediates then, Bryn.
Yep. As Human Fish has commented, saying Oogie Azim. He has commented saying that. So as we see now, the McLarens double stacking, lost a lot of time in that McLaren. They're not even changing his tyres yet. This is not looking good, as he's been jumped by Tom and AMS. Not good from the McLaren driver, losing that much time. That's the thing with this game, it does not give realistic double stacks. In real life, that would never have happened. Well,
they'd have definitely had both sets of tyres ready and very quick, but they're not the Mercedes pit crew. They're not, experienced with the double stacks, but at least a team of McLaren's calibre wouldn't have messed it up as bad as the F1 game did there.
No, there's only one team here that would mess up that double stack, and, well, they're currently in P1 and P5. Somehow they aced it.
Huh. Well, looks like there was a big enough gap between the two teammates. Very close then, and Tom is back on the back, and Will with a great undercut on those intermediate tyres. He's closed right up onto the back of AMS, so while the DRS was disabled, he had the intermediates right in that prime temperature window to try and make up the ground back on the podium sitters. We've got no DRS. He's a little bit lower on fuel than he perhaps would have liked to be, but should be alright to save it in these wet weather conditions. But he's all over the back of AMS, and Tom not too far behind. Greeny, there's yellow flags for sector 1 and 2. Is that pit map round? No, it looks like, is it?
It's
Juho's round. Juho's round in sector 1. So he's definitely struggling in these conditions, but PO1 will for the podium place. He's not quite close enough to the back of AMS down the inside. It's going to be a tricky move to make. Yeah, not quite close enough on this occasion, but Greeny made the most of his advantage in the first stint and has managed to pull a 5-second lead over the McLaren.
Yes, he has. So obviously pitting in at the right time there, off of the medium compound and onto the inters, and getting obviously the perfect stop compared to Game Freaker, who must have been held at some point, even though he was the leading McLaren and shouldn't have had it, as Cherry Chew Pie does get a 3-second time penalty. Of course, most of the grid now, except Tom, Oogie, Pip, Dre Bay, Greeny, Game Freaker and AMS have got penalties. So let's have a quick gander at how long they've got. So Dino's got 12 seconds of penalties, as Game Freaker gets 3 seconds as well, so I take that back about Game Freaker. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 6 drivers on 3 seconds time penalties. We've got one driver on 9 seconds, on the other Mercedes on 12 seconds. So both Mercedes obviously love cutting the corners and doing a Tiamat Marduk there. As I'm now on board with PR1 Will, who is 6/10 between him and AMS and 6/10 between Tom AJ. So very matched there in the gaps. Could be very interesting very soon, as Oogie of course has lost a lot of time in that double stack, being basically 3.5 seconds behind them, missing out on them these battles now, as the Haas driver is slightly drifting, but still Tom AJ has gained time on him, as I'm just going to quickly check something. But yeah, now if we look, yeah, he is, very much so, but
the inside not quite close enough.
No, very close from the two Ferrari powered drivers.
And they've also got a very much charging Oogie Azim, looking to get a bit of redemption and come back after his faulty pit stop. Had to double stack and he's lost a lot of time. Hopefully he can adapt to these wet weather conditions rather well and get back onto the back of this fight for the podium. AMS though, very much adapting well to these conditions. He's just about managing to pull out of any slipstream range of the car behind, now breaking a 1 second gap, but Will has got that 3 second time penalty to contend with, which at the moment we'll see him drop down to P5 with, what is that now, 8 laps to go.
Yes, it is 8 laps to go left this Grand Prix, but it's very close between the top 3. So this has been the battle to watch throughout the whole race. But AMS is now starting to pull away from Will, but Tom AJ is still all over the back of that Haas driver, as it looks like the Haas did lose a bit of grip then going through turn 4. So very interesting now to see what will happen and who will come out on top after all.
Well, yeah, will come out on top.
Yes.
We'll have to wait and see. He's got 3 seconds of time penalties to contend with, and that's what Tom's going to be waiting for. He doesn't need to make any rash judgments. He knows he doesn't need to send up the inside and make a stupid move, ruin both their races, when he knows if he just sits behind, he'll claim the position anyway. And Will, if he gets the pace back and AMS makes a mistake, could carve the way, Moses' effect, carve his way through into P4 anyway.
Yes, as Nano Bacon gets another 3 second time penalty, taking his total up to 6, so it will cost him some time. But Tom is looking at Will there, catching a lot down the straight into the braking zone, but still cannot get past that for a Haas driver. Sorry, they're getting mixed up. I mean, the Haas is the SF90, as there is a yellow flag. Is that duo fin again? Yes, it is.
It's a safety car.
Safety
It's a
car.
safety car. The full safety car is out. There's a lot of debris on the track then from Juho Finn, who spun a lot coming out that chicane. That corner then is that turn 6, I believe. And yeah, he's definitely struggling for grip. We're on to the final 7 laps of this Grand Prix, and we've got our first full safety car. So who's going to be coming out? Is it Fred Mylander in the safety car, collecting the leader? Mylander, sorry. But yeah, looking to collect the leader, and we'll be under the safety car. This will bunch up the grid, and Game Freak could be the big loser from this, because he's got the 3 second time penalty, and he could lose out from AMS if he can keep the gap.
Yes, he most likely will. But looking at the moment, Greeny is keeping calm behind that safety car, may take the win, and just hopefully, unlike Hamilton, does not spray puting with champagne, because that could have ended very badly for Hamilton. So hopefully Greeny doesn't end up doing it too.
Well, hopefully there won't be any Russian mafia agents knocking on anyone's doors tonight. Fingers crossed for that. But so far, I'd say we've had a pretty nice race, Bryn. It's been, pretty action-packed. A very good fight for the podium, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
very much so. Of course, this is very late on the Grand Prix for the safety car to come out, so the maximum time that it will stay out is about 3 laps. But if we were to get another safety car after this, we would not be able to get one after lap 25. After lap 25, the safety car will come straight in, and 26 and 27 have to finish under full green flag conditions. Unlike real life, where you see previous races finish under the safety car, and drivers getting very lucky there, this cannot happen here, and drivers could be very unlucky with the final 2 laps. As we are waiting for Cherry 2 Pie, CPI Black Phoenix, CC Brain, Dino, Dre Bay, Cherry 2 Pie, who I've already said, and Joe Finn to catch up to safety car before we can go back racing.
It looks like we got Catboy Key in the chat as well, saying hi. Well, newly named Keys F1. But yeah, welcome to the chat, mate. I hope you do enjoy the rest of what has been a pretty eventful Russian Grand Prix, and is hopefully going to be a rather eventful final couple of laps after the safety car restart, after the grid bunches up.
Yeah, very much so. So of course, now we are still waiting for the Mercedes driver. The safety car will stay out for a maximum of 3 laps without him, if I am right so, but he most likely will end up catching either this or next lap, so he hopefully won't lose too much time. But Dino has come in to the pit lane, very interesting. He has got them 12 seconds of time penalties to be added to the end of his race, so he could be thinking, as we do have Cherry also pitting in, what is they thinking about doing? Is Cherry going to stick on another set of intermediates, or will he be tempted to put onto the wet compound? Of course, it is very wet out there, but he seems to be putting on another set of intermediates. He's putting another set of intermediates. Sorry about my confusion there. But obviously going for the fresh intermediates, thinking that he'll be able to get more of a fight to the leading drivers. As we have Kieran Scholl, I can't pronounce that, sorry. Best comes right here.
Thank you. He's talking about you more than me, mate. Don't worry.
No, he's talking about you, mate. Right. Anyway, now we need to focus. So, of course, Greeny is right over the back of that GTR. AMG. GTR.
Well, there's going to have to be some point where Ferrari's behind a Mercedes at some point in this race. Mercedes they couldn't let them have all the glory.
No, of course. So, we've had McLaren lead this Grand Prix, we've had a Ferrari lead this Grand Prix, and we've most importantly had a Mercedes lead this Grand Prix.
Wow.
So at some point in a Grand Prix, if a Mercedes isn't leading, there will always be a Mercedes leading at some point, hopefully. Mercedes never like to miss out.
No, they don't. They have to win. They have to lead a race at least some point. And they've been doing a pretty good job of that over the last 7 years, it must be said.
Yes, well, from next season, I think it will be slightly different, as there will be 2 different types of safety car, as some Grand Prix will not be having a safety car of an AMG GTR. It will be an Aston Martin leading the race at some point. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, Aston Martin wanting to get into the action with leading a Grand Prix that's not Sergio Perez, as they no longer have him.
Well, their F1 car isn't too dissimilar to the Mercedes, so they wanted to get in on the safety car action as well. But we're going to get another lap of the safety car.
Because Will has actually pit in.
Oh, this is an interesting strategy from Will. What's happened here? Has he picked up some damage on the safety car?
It doesn't look like he has.
Well, this is
what tyres is he putting on? He's putting on the wet tyres.
This is a big gamble from the Haas crew. There must be a lot of standing water and a lot of spray on the track.
Cherry's coming in as well. I think he's going to put onto the extreme tyres as well. Yes, he is. So it must be a lot of standing water out there. So the driver's flooding it in to put the wet tyres. But the Mercedes is hopefully going to try and gain from this as he locks up going into the final corner. Of course, looks like there is little grip out there for them. So, of course, PR1 will come out ahead, and Cherry 2 Pie does as well, but it's going to be very close between them now, as that was you commenting. I thought that was somebody else then.
No, of course it's me. But yeah, we're going to get another lap of safety car, so a couple of drivers, 2 drivers biting the bullet and going on to the extreme wet. It's a big gamble, and hopefully there's enough standing water on the track to keep those wet tyres cool. They don't want to do a Pierre Gasly at Hockenheim 2018 and just straight up drive off the track. Hopefully it works out for them. They've got a lot of ground to cover in the next 4 or so laps, but if the pace difference is there, it could pay dividends for them.
Yeah, it could very much so. As we now look to the back of on the back rear wing of Greeny, trying to wheel spin to get as much grip on them rear tyres as possible. Of course, you do not want to overheat them intermediate, so as it is a very viable lesson that if you overheat them, you will lose out a lot of time. As safety car is now in this lap, Greeny is now going to slow right down to bring the practice car. Oh!
Hits the wall.
Yeah, hits the wall.
Was that a lag bubble there or what? That was really confusing. But Greeny then becomes your effective safety car. He is in charge of controlling the pace, and back in the pack up you can see he's just slowing down to let the safety car come into the pit lane, because obviously these F1 cars are a lot quicker than the safety car, no surprise about that, but he just needs to back up, let the safety car comes into the pit. AMS picks himself up a 5-second time penalty for collision under safety car. That's the least of what he wants to be doing. But we're just waiting for Greeny to punch it then as we get underway for the final stages of this race. It looks like he's backing the grid up. He can back all the way up to the timing line, but he's punched it early. What he can't do is he can't stop and start, but he's punched early, and we're underway for green flag racing then, and Greeny caught everyone out there off the safety car restart. So Game Freak are looking eager to get onto the back of him, sideways coming out the last corner. AMS all under pressure from Tom AJ, who was looking eager to get onto that podium place, both with time penalties through turn 1, then flat out and into turn 2, a long back straight. He's using the ERS to the inside. Can he get this final podium place? Doesn't look like he's going to be quite close enough, so Greeny leads the way after safety car restart. Further back, have you got anything going on? It doesn't quite look like it, so everyone holding station off this restart grid.
As PR1 Will has got past Dino, who was on the intermediates, then white tyres do seem to be working their job, getting rid of 60 litres a lap of seconds of water. Why did I say fuel? Because that would be very hazardous. As you see, now he's going to go for the move on Dre Bay. Obviously, them extreme wets have paid off dividendly for him, as he is now leading up the field to catching up to Black Phoenix. What a restart from Will on them tyres. Same with Cherry 2 Pie, has got a good restart in that Williams.
Yeah, definitely a good restart. It looks like these extreme wets are playing a very, very good game for them then. He's still got the run all over the back of him though. It may be a little bit of equal pace between them, and hopefully as the track gets a little bit wetter maybe towards the end, those extreme wets can come even more into their own. Tom looking to get past AMS. Not quite close enough though. He's just sitting back.
Bacon is up the inside of pit map. He's going up the inside, but he does not make the move stick. The Williams does hold it round the outside, make the move, keep the move there, and keep the position.
Just about claiming the racing line there, braking late enough to control the racing line from the racing point. Further back, Cherry 2 Pie looking to get past Dre. Bay finds his way back past Will, so it looks like these extreme wets may not have been the right call after all. After such a promising restart, looks like Dino's got past as well, Cherry 2 Pie, so maybe these extreme wets weren't the way to go for Will and Cherry. But hopefully, maybe towards the end they can bring it back a little bit. But they had nothing to lose. They had to make the gamble, and it hasn't quite paid off for them.
Yep, as I'm now just going to read a couple of comments in the live chat. So we have Catboy Key saying, 2 goated commentators, not going to lie. Thank you. Human Fisher said, dropped it, lol. Ericsson's fault. I mean, when's it not Ericsson's fault? That's all I'm going to say.
He could be racing an IndyCar and it'd still be his fault.
Yeah. Thank you, Grosjean, for that. Will has gone. What has happened to Will?
Straight off at turn 4, it looks, very simple. Must have just lost the rear end, tried to correct it and snapped back. Found himself straight into the wall.
Virtual safety
car. And
there's
a VSC. So another VSC. Hopefully we can get back to green flag racing very quickly. All cars, again, having to abide by that 40% race speed delta. Just so they all slow down and can clear the debris of Will's car. Hopefully we can get back to green flag racing pretty quick though for the final couple of laps of the race.
Yes, as Game Freak has closed quite a lot of time to Greeny under this virtual safety car, so this could be very interesting. Whether...
Could be. But remember, he has got that 3-second time penalty to contend with. He's going to have to get past and go.
Yes, he is. But we will see soon. We have got 3 laps left to go of this Grand Prix when we come out of the virtual safety car, as Dre Bay has got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car.
As well as Black Phoenix, he's also picked himself up a drive-through. It looks like they've based their runs off each other, and it's not worked out for them, both picking up drive-throughs then, and that is deadly, as they don't have the time to recover the time left in the race. But Tom, all over the back of AMS then, Bryn.
Yes, he is. He's using his overtake button right now to try and get past AMS. AMS is also using overtake. That Ferrari power is not strong enough to get past the Honda powered Alpha Tower. He looks for a move going into brake zone, but cannot make it move stick, as the race point is now going up the inside of the Williams. Can he make the move stick? Yes, easily, as the Williams now backs out of it, as I'm going on board with Dre Bay, who is on the back of Black Phoenix. Both drivers here having a drive-through penalty to be served at the end of the well, not the end, to be served now, ideally, otherwise they're going to get disqualified, as Tom is now a 10th behind AMS, with both having penalties. This is going to be very much down to who finishes ahead, but they could drop very far back, as Ugi is looking like he may get a podium.
Well, he's kept his nose clean, he's kept it on the track. Exactly that, and he's just keeping his nose clean, sitting back, not making those crucial errors, and sticking with the 3rd and 4th place, who at the moment, as it looks like Pitmap may just about pip them as well in this race. But Tom, eager to get past on track over AMS. They're doing it for pride. They won the on track podium. If under safety car they picked up that 5-second penalty, they're not going to pit again. So maybe if they're lucky, they can get it removed.
Yeah, I think that them 5-second time penalties that were given out to them 2 drivers was because there might be in a slight collision. When Greeny backed up the field, they may have not seen each other, because I did see a collision in the background between 2 cars, and one was a Ferrari, so maybe Tom actually tapped the rear of AMS, not giving him damage, but giving both drivers, crucially, a 5-second time penalty, as Dre Bay has got past for Black Phoenix, as Black Phoenix is now serving his drive-through, but Bay has stayed out. He is going to leave it until last minute, so he's going to try and gain as much track position as he can before pitting in for his drive-through penalty, as we need to say Cherry to Pie as well on them extreme wets, getting past Black Phoenix, but Joe Finn's AI is supposedly not. very interesting, as apparently he is lapped
Or he's been lapped by the field.
Yeah, very interesting to see. As now Tom is right on the back of AMS. Both drivers, like you said, wanting the on-track pride of finishing on the podium. But I mean, like, who will have the more pride, do you think? I think the AlphaTauri driver, being in the slower car of the two there, will most likely have more pride. But, of course, the Ferrari power being a lot weaker, it could be very, very good there. As Delta said, good commentary, Bryn. Sorry I'm not there, schoolwork had to be done. You do well. Thanks, man. It's sad not having you here, but Zach is with me here, doing a great job, a very great job.
Thank you, thank you. But we're on to the penultimate lap of this race then. It's all come down to this for the podium place. Hopefully, if these penalties get removed, it could be for the podium. Potentially at the moment it looks like it's going to be around for about P6. But, as you said, Bryn, these two cars, they have their pros and cons. But the AlphaTauri, on paper, is the worst car. But the Ferrari just hasn't had the straight line speed to get through. He's been all over the back of him through these corners. On to the final lap then. Greeny leads the way. He's dropped Game Freaker then by a couple of seconds. AMS looking very squirmy at the final corner, all pushing. And Tom looking eager to get his ERS button pressed down. You could see there by the amount of wheel spin he got out the final corner. This is it now. This could be his last opportunity to get past that Ferrari power though. And very, very not drag efficient down the straight. He's tried to get past AMS, but he's just held on with his ERS button and kept the Ferrari at bay, and he's doing a very good job of holding his nerve and not making any mistakes. But Tom is just going to have to send it into turn 5, where we saw Bottas and Raikkonen make contact a couple of years ago. Doesn't think to send up the inside, and AMS claims the racing line and hangs on for the time being. We've also got Nano Bacon on the back of Oogie within 8 tenths as well. He's got a 9-second penalty though to contend with. Greeny just extending the gap, extending his legs. He's drove so well in this race from pole and played the patient game, and he's doing so well for the moment. Tom all over the back of AMS though. He needs to get past now. He's running out of opportunity. He's running out of time. He needs to just get the run out of this corner and just send it. He needs to just be as late as he dares on the brakes. That's exactly what he's doing. He's had a good run over AMS then for the podium place. Oogie lurking behind in the slipstream. Which way is he going to go? He's sitting back, waiting patiently to the last moment. To the inside. It's going to be the outside though. For the chicane, he's going to get squeezed out to the wall. He's going to need to send it around the outside, setting up the cutback though over AWS, who runs a little bit deep. He's trying to get his way around the outside, going a little bit offline, sets up a great switchback maneuver though. He's going to be up the inside into turn 15 and 16. AWS looking to try and send it back up the inside. Oogie looking eager as well. There's a bit of contact between the two drivers. The Ferrari squeezed out all the way to the wall. He's been squeezed out, and AMS holds on then to this on-track podium. Up the inside goes Oogie though. He's bumped the Ferrari wide. They're going to be side by side through the penultimate corner and the last corner. This could lose Oogie out to the Racing Point, who's sideways across the line. Very, very interesting bit of racing then, but Greeny wins from Freaker, and Oogie takes the podium after penalties, Bryn.
Very close. So of course we're going to have a Ferrari now. We're going to have Greeny, Game Freaker and Oogie rounding up the top 3. So we got a McLaren 2-3. Of course, Andreas Seidel and Zach Brown will be very happy with that. So they are going to be our top 3 today, as Dre Bay could be disqualified as he's been rammed into the wall by Cherry 2 Pie. That is very interesting at last minute.
Luckily across the line it's a very short run, so they didn't lose too much from that. But yeah, well, it looks like we've got a comment in the chat. It looks like Tom and I have pens to remove, so that could potentially be being the fight for the podium, and AMS held on brilliantly.
Yep, as I am now going to add the top 3 to this party to get some interviews. Hopefully they can join. So let's go and add them. Hold on 1 second while I try and add them to the party. And we also need Game Freaker finishing in P2. There we go. As we now run you through your top 10, Greeny, Game Freaker, Oogie, Pitmat, AMS, Tom AJ, Nano Bacon, CC Brain, Dino, and Dre Bay finishing out the top 10. Hello, Greeny. Hello, can you hear me? Good, hello. Great race from you today. Absolutely stellar driving to get back past the Game Freaker, who was on the soft tyres off the start. You did take advantage very well of the mediums. How do you felt that went?
Yeah, I mean, it went very well, obviously. Obviously, I was just hoping, really, in that case, that the rain would have come earlier than it said it would, but yeah, the pace was there anyway, which is nice to see, that I could get past regardless of when the rain came. And then, obviously, when the rain came, I was just pushing to build up a gap, just to look better. And the safety car made it interesting. It did have me slightly worried, but yeah, in the end, nothing to worry about, and I was really happy with that.
Well, Human Fish did say in the chat that you did drop it, and did Ericsson hit you by any chance?
Me?
Yes, Human Fish said Ericsson's fault that you tapped the wall.
I don't think I tapped the wall anywhere, but
that must have been some desync then, because on the stream you did. As I'm now going to move on to Oogie with my questions. How do you felt that went from you, getting such a good advantage after their penalties, dropped them down positions and put you up to the podium to make a McLaren 2-3? Yeah, he did.
We done at that point. DRS was disabled, so there was no other choice than quit at that point. But fun race nonetheless.
Zach,
entertaining, and congrats to Greeny.
Yeah, I just have to say well done to Greeny. That was a great race. You know, the consistency was there, and you played a really good long game. Was that just sort of your plan from the start to wait for Game Freaker's tyres to go off and you take advantage of that, or yeah, what was your game plan for the race?
Well, I mean, obviously I was sort of waiting for the rain, but then I saw the wear on the mediums was fine, so I could push as hard as I wanted, really. And obviously I chose to start pushing when the gap went to about 3 seconds. I got the fastest lap, which is always my intention with the rain coming. And after that, I think a bit of a mix of good pace for me and his tyres dropping off helped me close the gap quite quickly from about lap 8 onwards. But yeah, good race by him on his return to FP, and good race from Yugi, and at least the race was interesting at the end of the safety car.
Yes. Yes.
Right, that's all from me. Do you have anything else to add, Zach?
Well, Oogie, yeah, just, you know, you played the patient game, and it did pay off in the end, regardless of whether they get the penalties removed or not. But yeah, were you aware of their penalties, and were you just sort of sitting back, not making any, you know, too many rash judgments? Was sort of that your plan, just to sit behind and wait?
I think so, yeah. Once the rain came, overtaking became really hard. So, yes, the patient game had to come in. The guy behind me was Nano, who had 6 seconds. Both the drivers in front of me had 5 seconds, so it was just a matter of keeping within those times and just bringing it home.
Yeah, you did very well to keep it on track, and it was tricky conditions, so how you went clean, that was very, very well. Were you close to a penalty at all? Did you have any warnings?
Nope, 0 warnings.
That's mad how you've done that at Russia then. That's well done for that. That should be driver of the day, and just for that.
Yes, thanks.
But no, yeah, did a great race for both of you. Good one.
Well,
Yes.
that's all from me. Is that it?
That's it.
Right. Thank you for joining. This was PSGL FP Round 7 here at Russia. Goodbye.